You've probably heard about everything and anything, how people feel about Roe v. Wade potentially being overturned. But I'm not going to go too much into it. But the one thing I will add, I believe it's a slippery slope we are heading down. And to those states that are actively trying to stop you from leaving your state to go get an abortion, I would say is unconstitutional, as in Amendment 14, Section 1, it gives you the freedom to move between states with privacy. And therefore, if you went to a state like California or a state that allows abortion, you follow their laws. Because at the end of the day, it's states' rights. And if you're in a state that allows abortion, then you should be able to get one. Same with if you're in a state that doesn't allow abortion, then you can't get one there. But you should be allowed to freely move between the United States. And a side tangent, we are the party that says we care about every life, that every life is sacred. But what just happened in Tennessee, where the governor signed into law a bill, it gives anyone who is caught sleeping outside or cooking at night any local or state public land a felony charge and minimum of 1 year in prison and up to $3,000. That is a blatant attack against the homeless. They're using the tactic of sweeping it under the rug to just forget about it, that they actually have a problem. If you had a leaky pipe in your house, you wouldn't just wall it off and be like, I don't got a leaky pipe anymore. We need to start addressing the homeless problem. We have hundreds of thousands of Americans living in their cars or on the streets. Most of those who are homeless have some sort of special needs. I don't want anyone who has Down syndrome, autism, or any disease or any problem like that to be locked up and, for of all things, being called a felon. Because 1, that gets rid of your right to vote. And 2, it gets rid of your right to own a firearm. Is that really what this party should be standing for? Of taking away people's rights? Not to mention, another right that is being taken away. We head down to Florida. You may have saw that many people were upset about what's happening with Roe v. Wade and marched onto the streets and protest outside of Kavanaugh's house. And I say bully for them to do that, to use their First Amendment right of free speech and of the right to assemble. But when you go down to Florida, I just witnessed another Republican governor sign into the law that prohibits you to protest in front of a private residence. Now, if you are going there, stepping on their land, or throwing rocks, or basically causing some harm to that residency, I don't believe in that. But if you are on the public road or on the curb, which is a public place, you have the full right as a born American to protest and to have your voice heard. For Florida to not allow you to do this just shows these so-called Republicans are not actually Republicans, for they are taking away constitutional rights that our forefathers gave us. Not to mention, the Supreme Court has now sided with Ted Cruz in the ability for corporations or donors to pay candidates after the election cycle to repay their loans. To me, this is a blatant attack against Donald Trump's philosophy of drain the swamp. Well, here comes a bunch of more sludge, because this is opening up the gates to allow donors to just basically put money right into candidates' banks' accounts. It's insane to me that this is happening. This is someone I do not trust at all. Ted Cruz is probably the slimiest person in politics right now. And the fact that he's a Republican and many people follow him is very, very discouraging to me. For one, as Republicans, we say, let's drain this swamp. Let's get big money out of Washington, out of politics. Yet, here is a prominent figure of the Republican Party doing the complete opposite of that, of getting money back into politics and overall siding with corporations. I do not understand this. Maybe because I'm just a middle class worker, I do not have the intellect as someone like Ted Cruz, but I feel like, hey, if someone's willing to put money into your bank account, you are going to be more likely to do what they say. And there, I just don't know how to end this. I'm just mind blown that this happened. That we continually see big money getting into our politics. And frankly, our founding fathers are rolling in their graves because they set up our structure to not get any money at all. It was in the 50s. The Senate and the House changed that to give themselves a salary. But when they first created this, it was not to profit off of your seat or your position in government. It was not meant to do this. But right now, if you want to make money in America easy and fast, run for office. If you run for office and you have a good enough following, you will become a millionaire overnight, as we see countlessly happening. If you look up every senator or every House of Representative, they are a millionaire. And the mantra of drain the swamp essentially means we must drain every single senator and House of Representative out of office and start establishing middle class workers. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones that are suffering. I do not know how to change that unless some real reform happens. And that means doing some drastic things until people are willing to stand up and say, enough is enough. Get all these people who are elected out of here. We will continually see the same thing happen again. Because frankly, when you look at the professions that are in Congress, they are doctors, lawyers, businessmen, people who are used to a high lavished lifestyle. You are going to continuously see them maintain that lifestyle or elevate it because they feel like they deserve it. The position of office is not to profit. It is to help out the middle class. And I think we need to start electing middle class people into office. Because at the end of the day, I say this constantly and constantly over. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. All we care about in the middle class is able to afford a house, to be able to come home, have food, and sometimes take a vacation and not worry if we are sick or injured from work, that what will happen to our life by then. Many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And many Americans have lost all their savings since COVID. While the top 1% got $6.7 trillion richer. Essentially, we need to start electing people who actually care and not talk about caring, but then turn around and shake the devil's hand. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys next week.